Our prayers should be for blessings in general, for God knows best what is good for us. Follow the argument wherever it leads. Be of good hope in the face of death. Believe in this one truth for certain, that no evil can befall a good man either in life or death, and that his fate is not a matter of indifference to the gods. The Delphic oracle said that I was the wisest of all the Greeks. It is because I alone of all the Greeks know that I know nothing. Fear of women love more than hate the man. Duty comes first, victory is secondary. What matters is joy. Nothing is to be preferred before justice. There is no possession more valuable than a good and faithful friend. It is better to make a mistake with full force of your being than to carefully avoid mistakes with a trembling spirit. Not life, but good life is to be chiefly valued. The shortest and surest way to live with honor in the world is to be in reality what we would appear to be. All human virtues increase and strengthen themselves by the practice and experience of them. This sense of wonder is the mark of the philosopher. Philosophy, indeed, has no other origin. The soul, like the body, accepts by practice whatever habit one wishes it to contact. Bad men live that they may eat and drink, whereas good men eat and drink that they may live. To believe without evidence and demonstration is an act of ignorance and folly. The understanding of mathematics is necessary for a sound grasp of ethics. The best seasoning for food and hunger, for drink, thirst. Children today are tyrants. They contradict their parents, couple their food, and tyrannize their teachers. I pray thee, O God, that I may be beautiful within. Virtue does not come from wealth, but wealth and every other good thing which men have comes from virtue. Anybody can be a Hellene by his heart, his mind, his spirit, ... He who is unable to live in society, or who is no need because he is sufficient for himself, must be either a beast or a god. To know is to know that you know nothing. The body cannot be cured without regard for the soul. Improve yourself by other men's writings, thus attaining effortlessly what they acquired through great difficulty. I decided that it was not wisdom that enabled poets to write their poetry by a kind of instinct or inspiration, such as you find in seers and prophets who deliver all their sublime messages without knowing in the least what they mean. The heart of the person before you is a mirror, see there your own form. The nearest way to glory, a shortcut, as it were, is to strive to be what you wish to be thought to be. In all of us, even in good men, there is a lawless wild beast, nature, which peers out in sleep. Just as you ought not to attempt to cure eyes without head or head, without body, so you should not treat body without soul. The wise man seeks death all his life, and for this reason death is not terrifying to him. Be of good cheer about death, and know this as a truth, that no evil can happen to a good man either in life or after death. Only the extremely ignorant or the extremely intelligent can resist change. People learn more on their own rather than being force-fed. Living well and beautifully and justly are all one thing. Nothing is so well learned as that which is discovered. One who is injured ought not to return the injury, for on no account can it be right to do an injustice. The man who is truly wise knows that he knows very little. True wisdom lies in one's confession about the limits of one's knowledge. One cannot come closer to the gods than by bringing health to his fellow man. How many things I can do without. Man's life is like a drop of dew on a leaf. The first key to greatness is to be in reality what we appear to be. I don't care what people say about me. I do care about my mistakes. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. There is no solution. Seek it lovingly. Remember, no human condition is ever permanent. Then you will not be overjoyed in good fortune, nor too scornful in misfortune. By means of beauty all beautiful things become beautiful. Those who want the fewest things are nearest to the gods. To harm another is to harm oneself. This is a universe that does not favor the timid. Where there is reverence, there is fear, but there is not reverence everywhere that there is fear, because fear presumably has a wider extension than reverence. A good man cannot be harmed either in life or in death. Are you not ashamed of heaping up the greatest amount of money and honor and reputation, and caring so little about wisdom and truth and the greatest improvement of the soul? God does not deal directly with man. It is by means of spirits that all the intercourse and communication of gods with men, both in waking life and in sleep, is carried on. Exercise till the mind feels delight in reposing from the fatigue. May the outward and inward man be at one. One ought not to return injustice, nor do evil to anybody in the world, no matter what one may have suffered from them. How many things are there which I do not want? In childhood be modest, in youth temperate, in adulthood just, and in old age prudent. I prefer to be refuted than to refute, for it is a greater good for oneself to be freed from the greatest evil than to free another. The difficulty, my friends, is not in avoiding death, but in avoiding unrighteousness, for that runs faster than death. Laws are not made for the good. It is not difficult to avoid death. It is much more difficult to avoid wickedness, for it runs faster than death. It is never right to do wrong or to requite wrong with wrong, or when we suffer evil to defend ourselves by doing evil in return. There is no difference between knowledge and temperance, for he who knows what is good and embraces it, who knows what is bad and avoids it, is learned and temperate. When a woman is allowed to become a man's equal, she becomes his superior. To express oneself badly is not only faulty as far as the language goes, but does some harm to the soul. In my investigation in the service of the God, I found that those who had the highest reputation were nearly the most deficient, while those who were thought to be inferior were more knowledgeable. If at first you don't succeed, avoid skydiving. There are two kinds of disease of the soul: vice and ignorance. To need nothing is divine, and the less a man needs, the nearer does he approach to divinity. Duty is a short-lived tyranny. To fear death, gentlemen, is no other than to think oneself wise, when one is not, to think one knows what one does not know. One should never do wrong in return, nor mistreat any man, no matter how one has been mistreated by him. We can do nothing without the body. Let us always take care that it is in the best condition to sustain us. They are not only idle who do nothing, but they are idle also who might be better employ. There is no good answer to a question you didn't hear. And I say, let a man be of good cheer about his soul, when the soul has been arrayed in her own proper jewels, temperance and justice and courage and nobility and truth. She is ready to go on her journey when the hour comes. You are wrong, sir, if you think that a man who is any good at all should take into account the risk of life or death. He should look to this only in his actions, whether what he does is right or wrong, whether he is acting like a good or a bad man. A free soul ought not to pursue Any study slavishly for nothing that is learned under compulsion stays with the mind. The poets are only the interpreters of the gods. If all misfortunes were laid in one common heap whence every one must take an equal portion, most people would be contented to take their own and depart. If he who does not know kept silent, discord would cease. Go wherever the facts lead. But already it is time to depart, for me to die, for you to go on, living. Which of us takes the better course is concealed from anyone except God. Fame is the perfume of heroic deeds. There is no illness of the body except for the mind. Let he who would move that world first complete an environmental impact assessment and a 90-day public comment period. How can you call a man free when his pleasures rule over him? Whenever, therefore, people are deceived and form opinions wide of the truth, it is clear that the error has slid into their minds through the medium of certain resemblances to that truth. Men of Athens, I honor and love you, but I shall obey God rather than you, and while I have life and strength I shall never cease from the practice and teaching of philosophy. If a man comes to the door of poetry and touched by the madness of the muses, believing that technique alone will make him a good poet, he and his sane compositions never reach perfection, but are utterly eclipsed by the performances of the inspired madman. Duty is the bait which with delight allures man to enlarge his kind. The rest of the world lives to eat, while I eat to live. I know what I do not know. The reason why we have to acquire wealth is the body, because we are slaves in its service. The noblest worship is to make yourself as good and as just as you can. The individual leads in order that those who are led can develop their potential as human beings and thereby prosper. False language, evil in itself, infects the soul with evil. An education obtained with money is worse than no education at all. A disorderly mob is no more an army than a heap of building materials is a house. All wars are fought for the acquisition of wealth. I am confident that there truly is such a thing as living again, that the living spring from the dead, and that the souls of the dead are in existence. Slanderers do not hurt me because they do not hit me. Regard your good name as the richest jewel you can possibly be possessed of. I call that men idle who might be better employed. Do not do to others what, Hangzhe, you have done to you, I others. The comic and the tragic lie inseparably close like light and shadow. No man undertakes a trade he has not learned it, even the meanest, yet everyone thinks himself sufficiently qualified for the hardest of all trades, that of government. Marry or marry not, in either case you'll regret it. If you can do only a little, do what you can. What you cannot enforce, do not command. Why do you wonder that globe-trotting does not help you, seeing that you always take yourself with you? The reason that set you wandering is ever at your heels. If you want to be a good saddler, saddle the worst horse, for if you can tame one, you can tame all. It is possible that a man could live twice as long if he didn't spend the first half of his life acquiring habits that shortens the other half. I love to go and see all the things I am happy without. I have not sought during my life to amass wealth and to adorn my body, but I have sought to adorn my soul with the jewels of wisdom, patience, and above all with a love of liberty. The warm love has the coldest end. In every sort of danger there are various ways of winning through, if one is ready to do and say anything whatever. Wars and revolutions and battles are due simply and solely to the body and its desires. The uninitiated are those who believe in nothing except what they can grasp in their hands, and who deny the existence of all that is invisible. The partisan, when he is engaged in a dispute, cares nothing about the rights of the question, but is anxious only to convince his hearers of his own assertions. The beginning is the most important part, especially when dealing with anything young and tender. Wars and revolutions and battles are due simply and solely to the body and its desires. All wars are undertaken for the acquisition of wealth, and the reason why we have to acquire wealth is the body, because we are slaves in its service. Get married in any case. If you happen to get a good mate, you will be happy. If a bad one, you will become philosophical, which is a fine thing in itself. Flattery is like a painted armor, only for show. Before the birth of love, many fearful things took place through the empire of necessity. But when this God was born, all things rose to men. When you propose ridiculous things to believe, too many men will choose to believe nothing at all. The bad one is that way because of the ignorance, therefore he can be healed with wisdom. If I can assign names as well as pictures to objects, the right assignment of them we may call truth, and the wrong assignment of them falsehood. Flattery is like friendship in show, but not in fruit. I was afraid that by observing objects with my eyes and trying to comprehend them with each of my other senses, I might blind my soul altogether. The envious person grows lean with the fatness of their neighbor. It is not the purpose of a juryman's office to give justice as a favor to whoever seems good to him, but to judge according to law, and this he has sworn to do. The highest realms of thought are impossible to reach without first attaining an understanding of compassion. A system of morality that is based on relative emotional values is a mere illusion, a thoroughly vulgar conception that has nothing sound in it and nothing true. I was really too honest a man to be a politician and live. Every pleasure or pain has a sort of rivet with which it fastens the soul to the body and pins it down, and makes it corporeal, accepting as true whatever the body certifies. She soars on her own wings. The friend must be like money, that before you need it the value is known. The greatest flood has that soonest ebb, the sorest tempest, the most sudden calm, the hottest love, the coldest end, and from the deepest desire oftentimes ensues the deadliest hate. Marry a good woman and be happy the rest of your life, or marry a bad and become a good philosopher. I am that gadfly which God has attached to the state, and all day long and in all places I am always fastening upon you, arousing and persuading and reproaching you. For this fear of death is indeed the pretense of wisdom, and not real wisdom, being the appearance of knowing the unknown, since no one knows whether death, which they in their fear apprehend to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. If a man is proud of his wealth, he should not be praised until it is known how he employs it. The same wind is blowing, and yet one of us may be cold and the other not. I am very conscious that I am not wise at all. The greatest of all mysteries is the man himself. Why should I resent it when an ass kicks me? For who is there but you who not only claim to be a good man and a gentleman, for many are this, and yet have not the power of making others good, whereas you are not only good yourself, but also the cause of goodness in others? Thanks for watching.